Retail workers, what is the most desperate scam a customer has tried to pull on you? Story 1. I was working in a betting shop during the 2014 Football World Cup. We had this one really awful customer. Must have been in his 80s and always wildly inappropriate, asking what color my underwear was, did I need someone to keep me warm tonight, etc. But I couldn't do anything as the higher-ups wanted to squeeze money from him. Anyway, the night before the final match, he comes in and tells me he wants to bet on Germany to win. I spent about 10 minutes explaining to him that as it was the final, he could no longer have a broad bet like that. Instead, he'd have to choose between a 90-minute win or winning in extra time on penalties, etc. I showed him all the odds for all the different bets and he ended up choosing the 90-minute win. I put the bet through for him and he went off into the night to be creepy somewhere else. The match plays out and of course Germany wins in extra time. The next day, unnamed creepy dude comes in grinning from ear to ear and telling me how he's a winner. Oh boy. Again, I have to explain to him that his bet isn't valid as he predicted they'd win before 90 minutes. And they hadn't. Dude flies into a rage about how I'm a money-grabbing slut who's jealous of his riches and has to pay him out or he'll call the police. I tell him to leave my store or I'll call them myself. He complies. A few days later, I come back from my lunch break to see him ranting at my cashier. I ask what the problem is, and he throws me his bet slip for the World Cup. Only now, he's written extra time on it in pen and is trying to get my less experienced staff member to pay him out. I tell him that when we scan bets, the computer takes an image of it. Obviously, the slip he has given to us has been altered as it doesn't match what's on the screen. I even turned the computer to show him, and that counts as fraud. Again, he leaves spouting nonsense about how women shouldn't be working anyway because they can't count or read. Next week, I get told I have to go to a meeting as I've had a complaint filed against me by a customer. The day of the meeting rolls around and I'm greeted by my area manager, security director, and creepy dude. He had phoned the customer line and said I'd refused to pay his bet and taken the money for myself. We ended up bringing up the CCTV of the night he originally placed the bet, complete with audio, to prove without a shadow of a doubt that he was in the wrong. Dude won't accept this and starts screaming that we're all thieves. We fake the video and threatens to get a lawyer. Security director escorts him off the premises and he's banned from all of our chains indefinitely. The kicker is, if his bet had won, it would have been a whopping 55 pounds. Too long didn't read, old dude is creepy, refuses to accept that his bet isn't a winner, makes threats and escalates to head office and is banned from all stores. Did he really think he was going to win this when we have all that technology nowadays? Like, he must have really needed that 55 or he just wanted the confidence boost. So glad your higher-ups finally saw him for what he is and got that creepy scumbag out of there. Story 2. Just yesterday, I had a till-tapper quick change artist try to money shuffle me for what would have been a grand sum of $5. Ticked him off when couldn't play his game. Next best was someone calling wanting to know if we had spare empty boxes for Xbox consoles, because he wanted to prank his kid and give him an empty box. I know very well he wanted to try to stuff the box with who knows what and attempt a return. Of course, the folks at customer service check such boxes for actual products and match zeros to those on the box. One of my embarrassing memories from working retail is falling for one of these scams. Had actually been a cashier for probably 5 years at this point, and had never heard of this particular method. Had seen some people come in with clone credit cards, barcodes switched and placed on the wrong product, returns that are filled with junk, counterfeit money, etc. Never had heard of this type of thing. Some guy came in and wanted to pay for a cheap item with a $100 bill. I count out his change and I'm about to hand it over. Let's say $95.15. When he changes his mind and says, oh wait, give me that $100 back. I have the exact change. I can give you the 85 cents so that you won't need to give me the coins. And you can just give me the $95. And frick if just didn't hand it over. He spaced it out just long enough that it was still holding the $95. And because I had to take time to put the coins away, at that point I had completely forgot that I had given back his $100. I had no idea what happened until the next day when my manager brought me in to review the video and asked me if I remembered the customer on the screen. Did, because the butthole was friendly and we had chatted while I started ringing him up. I even told my manager, oh yeah, nice guy, and then was informed of what happened. It's one of the few times in my life I can remember being honestly startled and blown away that I hadn't realized what happened. I have never heard of that before until this very moment. That is stupidly clever, and I hate the fact that I would most likely fall for it too on the right day. Story 3. I work at a movie theater. We have a $5 discount day. A customer comes over and starts telling me how she was there the prior day, and that we have given them the wrong soda and her diabetic husband had drunk it and suddenly had to go to the hospital to get medication to cure him. Several things wrong with that story. 1, that's not how diabetes work. You don't die from one sip of soda. Generally, if you did, you'd have insulin to take. 2, the employee she had complained to in order to call me over had been the only concessionist the prior day, and somehow she failed to identify him when asked her who it was. Asked her for ticket stubs and proof of purchase, and she came up with nothing. Went to the attendants for the prior day and pulled up the report for the movie they claimed to have saw. To my delight, the showtime they claimed to have seen had 0 tickets sold to it. I printed the report and went back to meet them. "Yeah, sorry, looks like there were 0 tickets sold to that showtime." And then I showed her the report, and she tried to say we sold her tickets to the wrong movie. Told her that was improbable because then she would have been in the wrong auditorium. She had no response to that. Then she spluttered that she guessed she would just go buy tickets. And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." She left. What was she hoping to gain there? And why was she so stupid with it? Story 4. At my old job, they used to have sales pretty often and would also give out coupons for specific dates. For Boxing Day, they had a 30% off sale, and we'd also given out coupons that would start the next day. Lady came in on Boxing Day, and we worked out that she'd get more of a deal if she used the coupon instead. So offered to hold her items for her. I explicitly told her that she wouldn't be able to get the 30% off, and she decided to use the coupon instead. She comes back the next day, goes to cash or purchase her items, and gets angry because they wouldn't give her both the 30% off and let her use the coupon. She told the cashier that the person she'd spoken to the day before had told her that she could do that. Sees me and says, "It was that girl who told me." I went to cash to speak to her. I was a key holder at the time, and her story changed about 3 times through the whole thing. First, she said that told her she could combine the discounts. Then she said that never told her she couldn't combine the discounts. And then finally it was, "Well, I don't understand why I'm not able to do this." Another manager came over to help sort it out. As I walked away, I heard her saying that I was a liar. Now, I work at Sephora, and we always get people trying to return fake products. My favorite one was when someone returned a face mask, but had put a can of tuna in the box instead of the actual face mask. Those two are not easily mixed up, so how in the world did that person manage that? Story 5. I'd like to return this unopened pack of cigarettes I purchased earlier today at your establishment. Might be paraphrasing a little bit. I open the store every day. Hadn't seen this dude once that day. Looking at his cigarettes, it's a brand we don't carry. Asked him for a receipt to confirm he purchased them here, but he obviously didn't have one. That's fine. If you can just tell me what time you were here today, I can look you up on our cameras to confirm your purchase. My God, the backpedaling and stuttering. I grabbed a cigarette pack and fake examined them. Wait a moment, sir. Are you sure you purchased these at this store? Don't think we carry this brand. He took the cigarettes back, came up with something about his brother, must have yada yada, and then he walked out. A tobacco store in town sells some of the brands we carry at a much cheaper price. So people like to try to do returns at our store to make a quick buck. We generally don't take any returns on tobacco, but this guy didn't even scope out his mark. Now that's just lazy. Not gonna be a good criminal or scammer with that low energy, come on. Story 6. I used to work at a game store a little more than 10 years ago. Once a woman came in dressed fairly trendy and asked for 2 PlayStation 2 portables, PSP, 2 Xbox 360s, and a handful of games and accessories. My store was pretty slow, so this would have been a pretty big sale for the day, and I was excited about it. She goes to pay and hands me a credit card which was not laminated and appeared to be printed out on a home color printer. Told her it wouldn't work and she just said scan it anyway. So I scanned her fake credit card which clearly did not have a magnetic strip. And it didn't work, of course. She told me to just put the numbers in on the computer. I refused and she asked why, seemingly legitimately confused. I told her just couldn't. She told me she would be back with cash. I put everything back on the shelves. She did not return. She really thought she was gonna get all that from her little arts and crafts project? Story 7. Years ago, I worked at a small hardware store where they were constantly getting huge rolls of copper wire stolen. One day, this guy and his girlfriend come in to return a roll. I was a few months in on the returns counter. They had no receipt, and when scanned, the item for the return in was only during the price per foot. I could not figure out how to get the SKU or the price for the whole roll. Called the manager and he comes out, and right away knows there's no way these people bought a roll and returned it. So he asks when they bought it, and they say 2 weeks ago, the common response. And my manager tells them, "Oh really? Because the last time we sold an entire roll was over 3 months ago." The guy starts to get brave and tells him, "So you're saying I stole it?" And my manager says yes. They end up leaving and leave the roll behind. Before they leave the store, the guy says, "I'm coming back and bringing the cops." Manager says, "Go ahead. That way you can explain to them how you stole the roll." What a boss your boss is. Not taking nothing from no one. You can tell just from that the employees love him. Story 8. A guy comes in to fill his son's Adderall script. Guy is super twitchy and son is chill as could be. For all controls, we are supposed to run a report that shows everywhere in the state they have filled any. Of course, the report is a mess. Multiple pharmacies, multiple scripts, multiple doctors, all the red flags. To top it off, an Adderall script within that week had been filled, so we really couldn't fill this one. Dad comes back and tells him that we can't fill it, and Dad starts going on about how his wife must have filled it, but they need some for today, blah blah blah. We decline, and his last words to us are, "My son needs them for a birthday. He has to go today. Can't you help?" No, dude, we can. You are clearly taking your son's pills. Get help and stop using your son to get high on prescription drugs. I really hope his son doesn't desperately need them while his dad is hogging them all to himself. How can you do that to your own child? Story 9. A customer brought back a jumpsuit for a return because it had poop in it. Apparently it had been like that when she bought it. It stinks so bad that you could smell it through the taped up plastic bags that she had put it in. The levels of how impossible that would have been to be unnoticed by changing room staff, to then be put on the shop floor, to then be picked up by the customer, to being bought via a cashier still unnoticed. The worst part is some idiot on the refunds counter downstairs actually accepted it and put it on top of the trolley full of other return items for us to put back upstairs, complete with a note stapled to it that said warning feces inside. One of the bigger WTF moments I've had in any job that I've worked. So, did they just drop a turd in it and not immediately burn it? Also, I really hope the person accepting that return got fired. Story 10. I used to work at Best Buy. This guy came in and returned a laptop saying that the box had some old laptop in it. He was yelling and screaming, "We don't know how to do business." Manager gave him a full refund. We started to check that old laptop he brought in. It won't turn on. Looks like the motherboard was toast. We pulled the hard drive out and started checking the data. Hard drive was completely fine with everything on it. We started looking for the clues and found the pictures of the guy who returned the laptop. It was his old machine. We had all his info. Manager called him and said he has 15 minutes to bring the new laptop back or he's calling the police. That guy came in, dropped the laptop at the front desk, never saw him again in the store. Let me guess, he just smashed it up a little bit and thought that'd do the trick, didn't he? Story 11. We had some members of the traveling community pull into our car park one summer. He comes to the till to buy 2 patio kits at 50 pounds each. I tell him the total is 100 pounds, and he says he bought one for the ESO the day before in another branch. I say yes, but you're buying 2, so it's doubled. He then starts to argue that I'm overcharging him. This went on for 10 minutes with me explaining that he's buying 2, so it's more expensive than 1. His entire plan was to attempt to hold up the queue to a point where I give him one for free by acting like a dumb frick. Once he realized the queue had disappeared, due to it being a freaking huge DIY store with multiple cashiers, he suddenly clicked and paid up, never to be seen again. Just reading that made my blood boil. I can't imagine having to be the one talking to and dealing with him. Story 12. Worked in a bottle shop. One afternoon, a shady character entered and spent 10 minutes browsing the liquor section. I stayed at the checkout and watched him on CCTV. He ended up shoving 2 bottles of Johnny Walker Blue down his pants and walked out. Store policy is not to confront shoplifters. That's what insurance is for. I called the police and burnt the footage onto a DVD for them to collect. About an hour later, the same guy returns with the bottles demanding a cash refund because he purchased the wrong type. Just as I was telling him I can't do a refund without a receipt, the police walked in to collect the footage. He left with them in handcuffs. Ah, sweet justice. But that's a ballsy move trying to return empty bottles because you bought the wrong ones. Never mind trying to return ones you stole that day. Story 13. Years ago, I worked at a Walmart and this guy comes in trying to return his Wii that doesn't work. I just bought this for my kids last week and it's already broken, but they won't take it back because I lost my receipt. The Wii in question was the most beat up and disgusting looking GameCube I have ever seen. Like he found it in a landfill or something. Should also point out that I wasn't working the return desk or even a cashier. I was stocking the food department. Turns out he was trying to talk every employee in the store into either giving him a refund or a Wii. Can you blame him? The Wii was the cornerstone of console gaming. But did he not see that a GameCube is very obviously not a Wii? Story 14. We don't deliver the pizzas we make. It's carry out only. Had a customer call and have a long, angry conversation with me because I wouldn't deliver to her. She proceeds to say a couple times, "You must be new here. I know the owner personally." To which I respond, "Well, I'm the owner's daughter, and we don't deliver." Aw, come on, there's gotta be more to this. Did she try to double down on her story or just quickly hang up out of embarrassment? Story 15. Sold a guy a phone years ago when I worked for a wireless carrier. Spent an hour getting all his information transferred and setting up his new phone. He comes in the next day with a shattered screen. Apparently he didn't remember that it was the rep who helped him. And proceeded to tell me that's how it looked when he left the store. Needless to say, the phone was not replaced. If that's how it looked when he left, why would he have left with it? Man did not think that one through. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.